Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Starseeds and Lightworkers Collective. My name is Crystal, and tonight we have a landmark show. We are going to be exploring the whole concept of the Three Eye Atlas and all of that that's going on. As you know, Three Eye Atlas is a part of basically it's a comet. It's a interstellar object. It's something we don't know anything about. Many people who have been following the whole thing with Three Atlas have been speculating that it's actually more like technology, some sort of technological object. But tonight we're going to be discussing and seeing what it is that it could be. Now we know we do have the science behind it, and so we will be briefly going over the science. But as well, we're going to be looking at it from a spiritual perspective and also from an esoteric perspective. And so I think we're going to be having a great show. For those of you who are members, you have access to the phone number. And so we are going to be having a call-in show, which is going to be very, very interesting. You can call in with any questions and comments you have later on in the show. We're first going to start with a presentation. And then later on in the show, about halfway through, we're going to be accepting calls. So if you have questions, just call us when we give you the sign, and you can ask our panel what kind of questions you have, and also share with us if you've had any experiences with Three Eye Atlas, and what you think it is, and what you think it's going to be like tomorrow. You know, where are we going to be on the other side of this? Is it going to be something that's going to just change overnight, or is it something that's going to be a little long term? You let us know. So tonight we are going to be having an esteemed panel, and our esteemed panel is with Miss Angela Levasseur. She's been on the show many times before, and we absolutely love Angela. She is a trans channel. She is a Reiki healer, and she is also a medium. And she is going to be channeling Three Eye Atlas with us tonight to let us know what kind of messages that she's receiving from the object and what we can look forward to moving forward. We also are going to be working with Ms. Maureen Morgan, who's also been on the show, and she's lively, and she's worked previously with MUFON, and she's also working on some books that she's writing, and she has been with us. If you were here a couple of weeks ago, she did a presentation on the Marian apparitions, and I strongly suggest you check that out. She's come up with some really incredible evidence as to a connection between a lot of the UFO activity that we've been seeing, and also visions of the Mother Mary. So check that out. And tonight, especially, we have Miss Susan Johnson, who is a contactee experiencer and has been working with a group of beings that she calls the Equequians, and she's also a warrior. Also comes from a warrior race, and is working with different extraterrestrial beings to help save this planet, and also to help us move into the higher realms, as she'll be participating in the Pulse that's going to be coming up soon. So we are very glad and very esteemed to have Miss Susan Johnson, who's going to be joining us tonight and giving her perspective as a real contactee experiencer on what she thinks Three Eye Atlas is and what her experiences have been so far. So without further ado, ladies, did you want to take turns how you feel about the presentation tonight? And I mean, not so much about the presentation, but more about your experiences so far with Three Eye Atlas. So again, Three Eye Atlas was a object that was detected July 1st, 2025, and it's basically a object that was observed by the Atlas Survey System, and it's a system that is also funded by NASA, and it's a way for science to observe interstellar objects or any kind of objects, comets that are coming into our solar system and also close to the planet. So it's sort of like an early warning system in case anything were to happen. And they detected it back in July 1st, and at first they thought it was a comet, but then it has demonstrated certain certain characteristics that are not usually expected with comets. So this is why this has been causing a lot of furor and a lot of excitement, not only in the science but also in the esoteric realm as well. So I'm glad that we have a variety of people here tonight so that we can talk about it. So Angela, I'm going to start with you first. How do you feel about Three Eye Atlas?
I have had several channels with the inhabitants of Three Eye Atlas. In fact, I'm literally in the midst of one right now. I did have to gain their permission to be able to do a live channel tonight. But my understanding from the um, beings that are there at this point in time is that they are here to monitor Earth. They are here to monitor the reactions of the individuals on Earth so that official first contact can be made. They want to make sure that it is peaceable. They are not here in any way, shape, or form in a malevolent nature. And they also are here, there's a number of emissaries on board. They're also here to be able to raise Earth and our vibration and our frequency. So it is a very peaceable mission. It is not one that is to be repeated anytime soon, but it is one that they're telling me is of the utmost urgency at this point in time because of Earth and what our current state happens to be. So I'm very excited that they're here. I'm very excited to be a part of this. And I'm truly honored and flattered that I am a part of it because it is not something that anyone can say that they're a part of, ever again,
Yeah.
to be honest. This is
Wow.
a lifetime occurrence.
It is. And, it's a lifetime occurrence because, as you know, I've mentioned it many times on the show, and I know that you're aware that in addition to the science, and I mean, we are going to look at it tonight, but in addition to it, there's been a lot of talk astrologically as to what's going on in terms of the planet, in terms of what's happening here with how we're being affected by some of the changes going on. And it just seems to me that we are entering a phase that is going to really affect humanity. And if you can, look at many different astrologers and many different people who are channels and many different people who are connected, and they are all saying that this is a time, and it's sort of like half because you have certain people that are saying, well, for the first 6 months of the year, we're going to be having an acceleration of some crazy stuff. Like some stuff is going to get really kind of nutty and crazy. And then other than that, we're also going to be having at the end of the 6 month period, we're going to be shifting and going into a much more peaceful and much more higher frequency for this earth. We're going to be changing. We're going to be evolving and as well upgrading our humanity, and our so-called DNA is going to be coming online, and we're going to be fully integrated. And so there's a lot that's going to be going on, but it seems that this is sort of the turning point for everything. So it remains to be seen. I know that some people are not sort of on that yet, but I think it remains to be seen. So we'll see how it goes.
I
So
totally agree with you, Crystal. And one of the interesting things to note is we're going from a Chinese zodiac year of the snake, where we are shedding our old selves, into the horse, which is moving forward and accelerating. So it just all ties in.
and tonight we also have Ms. Maureen Morgan, who is more the nuts and bolts, more of the science. So we can definitely spar on that one. And Maureen, I know that we talked briefly about Three Eye Atlas over the last couple of months, but right now, are back in July. How did you feel about learning about Three Eye Atlas? What was going through your mind at the time?
Well, I had so many other things on my mind, like Marian apparitions and presentations I was preparing for, that I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. In the last, I would say, 6 weeks or so, especially when Avi Loeb, the former director of astronomy at Harvard University, started talking about the anomalous elements of it. That's what really kind of caught my attention. And of course, then the blowback, from the rest of the science community.
Yeah.
And even though he only gave it a 40% chance of being something other than just a comet, clearly there were so many anomalous aspects about it, that it puts it in a whole, if it turns out to be just a comet, it puts it in a whole different category of comets, which says we don't know diddly squat about comets, or we may know about comets that are circling in our solar system, but not interstellar. And I was following Stefan Burns, and then I was getting a lot of, I would get a lot of summaries, say from Christina Gomez, people like that, who would sort of like bring out the latest news. And it just seemed to me there was so much, I would say, noise online, that I thought I would just wait till it got closer and see what happens.
Yeah.
And of course, out here we have this big storm. You may or may not have. I live in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State on the peninsula, and we had this tremendous storm a few days ago. Where the electricity was out, internet was out. It was a really big deal. But anyway, I was really kind of surprised. In fact, the internet was out most of yesterday, and it's been intermittently out today. And I had to send a phone message to Crystal to let her know that I may or may not be here tonight.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am here. But it's like I've been waiting for something that is substantive. But after having spent, I was the Washington Mutual UFO Network state director for 6 years, and on MUFON's experiencer research team for many years. I've talked to hundreds of experiencers and absolutely believe without doubt, that something is going on. There is a non-human intelligence. This is a very real phenomena. So I am opening everything. In fact, that goes for the Marian apparitions. Boy, the deeper I got into those, the deeper I got down into the rabbit hole there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was hoping that I would wake up this morning and find all this information online. And first of all, my internet's down, and then next there seemed to be very little. It's like all the noise seemed to quiet down. And you guys may know more than I do, but as of right now, it's like clearly something. If this is just a plain old comet, we don't know much about comets. Let's put it that way. And I'm certainly open to it being something more than that. As Angela was saying, it's I would not be at all surprised if we saw suddenly a change of course and it heads right for us or something like that. So I'll leave it there. I'm waiting for what you guys to say because I've been kind of out of the loop lately.
Well, that's good. And that's sort of, I'll be honest, I've brought up 3i Atlas once or twice on the show, but I've been kind of very, how should I say, conservative, just because I know that something is happening, and I'm usually looking at the astrology. I'm looking at that because I see that is going to really, that's where really a lot of the change is going to be coming in. But at the same time, I know that, and for those of you who watch the show, you know that I'm a big follower of Bashar. And Bashar has been asked about 3i Atlas, and he said, yeah, this is it. This is going to be a time when we look back between now and the next, couple of years, where we look and we realize that this is where a lot of big changes is taking place. So I think from that perspective, of course, I don't disregard the science at all. Like I do, I definitely see that, okay, there's stuff happening and maybe it is a comet. But when the science is looking at the comet or the object and they're saying, well, it doesn't really fall in line with what a comet should be doing. It's not really... There's a lot of little details. It's changed color. Now, recently, I heard that it's changed shape. It's a lot flatter. A lot of people are saying that the tail was going in a opposite direction when it should have been going in this direction. And it's just been doing a lot of weird things and shooting off gas left and right. And, maybe this is an interstellar object that we don't really understand because it's coming from outside of, our solar system. It's coming from the far reaches of our galaxy. And so maybe it's something that we're going to be learning a lot from, which I think is going to happen anyway. But at the same time, it's kind of like... it kind of reminds me a little bit of 2012, where you sort of felt something was in the air. And I think we're sort of expecting a lot more of a Hollywood type of sort of perception where we're like, okay, there's like this big landing on the White House lawn. I don't think it's going to be that, but I think that there's definitely going to be something. I think people are already going to feel it. And I have a comment here from a comment that somebody sent in. I think it's UFO Experiencer. It says, today is the day that 3i Atlas is closest to the Earth, and there's heavy rains and winds here on Long Island. I can't help but feel that it relates to 3i Atlas. And it's interesting because there's also here in Montreal, there's a lot of like wind and rain, and then it's also on the Pacific coast that, Maureen was talking about. So it's just kind of interesting how a lot of stuff is going on. And like I always keep saying that the astrological alignment that's coming up is very, very, very potent and powerful. And it marks changes in humanity. So how that change is going to come will definitely, I'm sure it relates to 3 Atlas, but it's not going to be the only thing. I think there's going to be other stuff, but we're definitely going to look back on this time and say, okay, this is the big change. Now, what I like about the panel tonight is that we have an actual experience here, Miss Susan Johnson. And Susan, if you can sort of give us a little bit more background as to, when your experiences started and the group that you work with, and briefly, and then also tell us what messages that you've been getting. And because I know you sort of, you have experiences where you leave your body and you're in a different form altogether, I think, and you go up into these different ships and working with different alien races. Can you sort of give us a little bit more background as to who you are and what you're doing?
When I was 7 years old is when I got my past life scene where I was killed or obliterated by a black hole when I was entering into the Earth's atmosphere after we had flown in from the outer solar system. And we were using the gravitational fields as a rubber band effect to bounce off the gravitational fields to enter into the Earth's upper atmosphere. That was when this black hole opened up in the right-hand side of the ship. And I woke up and the rest of the crew was still asleep because they were a human Nyandan crew, not an Archeron Nyandan crew. And I yelled, "Act to shift the mass to the black hole, not away from it." He shifts the mass away from the black hole. And that's when we got obliterated. And I was in limbo. And that's when Yissaron found me. That's my true primary soulmate from Archeron Cygnus. He found my soul and he captured it. And he had to cause me, he had to incarnate me here in the uterus on this planet because we didn't have any of the ships available with the clones on it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be here. I'd be up in the ships. And I was told from day one that all the work I'm doing for the mission and everything is up there in the ships. They're not leaving anything to chance. They're not going to give me any directives or anything I'm supposed to fulfill down here because they knew it was going to be really treacherous for me down here. And it is. And
Can I just quickly ask, so you're from Archeron?
Presently, we're from Archeron Cygnus.
Archeron Cygnus. Okay.
We're a Factanum universe.
Okay. And so you're from Archeron. That's a planet in the Cygnus constellation, if I'm understanding correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do believe it's either Deneb or I think it's Beta Cygni.
Okay. And so basically, if I understand correctly, you were brought here as I guess as a soul, right? And you were put into a body in your mother's womb. And it's only at 7 years old that these people that put you there came back to get you to start your training to be able to fight and to be able to take part in the mission, which is to help this planet and other planets and other races. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. What they do is, okay, it's a very specific science. It's a very exacting science. It's based on light harmonic resonances and silicon wave fields. And what they did was they were able to get the embryo from my mom, and they took out the contents, and they did recombinant DNA gene splicing, what they call spike DNA, or what they call splicer DNA, where they were able to piece it all together with the DNA from my past life bodies and into this one, and they only used the ectoderm of the egg itself to give me the human features to make me passable, but the rest of it is alien, argoid, formoid, not ovoid, but argoid, mostly argoid and formoid, argoid from the other universe and formoid from this one.
That's very
I mean,
interesting.
when
Yeah.
they put me in, they had to make sure that the biomatrix of the embryo matched the soul matrix. Otherwise, you're not going to have any coupling. And that's
Okay.
when the spark comes in, the force and energy spark that couples them together.
Okay. And right now, so with that in mind, right now you're here, your mission here is to help the planet with the pulse, I think, right? And I know that we've talked about the pulse. We had a joint panel with Angela and with Kevin Estrella a couple of months ago talking about the 3 days of darkness and in particular the pulse, right? And the pulse is something that is supposed to basically and it depends on how you want to look at it because some people think that it is about erasing or destroying the planet, but really it's about changing things and reinvigorating the planet for different how should I say activation. Is that what you how you would describe it, Susan? The pulse, the mission that you're on?
Specifically, what the pulse is, it's a silicon wave harmonic. It's a standing silicon wave field.
Okay.
And what we do is we have devices on the ship that have like the sphere that's suspended between two cone, and the tip of the cone is on the top and the tip of the cone on the bottom points from the sphere. And we put standing at silicon wave fields into that sphere. Now you can have multiple standing silicon wave fields like an onion that's overlapping like that. And each sub-silicon wave field can operate in a sublight harmonic resonance. And as soon as you put the streamer wave through it, it propagates that field pattern into whatever system that you're operating on, whether it's a solar system, a planet, or a sector, or a wormhole, or a portal, or a star, or whatever. And then what we do is it expands out like that, and when it does, it cancels out the negative. Where the pulse is supposed to be canceling out the negative, destructive, parasitic, deviant energy patterns, entities. Any kind of aberrant DNA is going to be eliminated. What's going to be left are the neutrals that are not awake yet, the positives, and any other innocent life form. And it can be 100% accurate, no collateral damage, no adverse effects, because the pulse is a silicon waves are absolute 100% accuracy. There's no tolerances or deviations.
Okay.
It's like an onion. We've been pulsing and pulsing going outward from the universe. We're using this sector because this sector is critical as part of a fast track system that goes from the Orion Stargate portal system to the Alpha Draconis portal system.
Okay.
And it connects various other adjoining universes coming in.
Okay.
And if we don't clear up this sector, then what's going to happen is it's going to fester and go into the other adjoining universes and stuff. Parasitic disembodied entities that came over from the other universe that was collapsed on the backside of the other portal. I mean, of the Alpha Draconis portal system. They'll reemerge from the portals and they'll wreak havoc again.
Okay.
So when we do it, we have to set traps inside of the portals and everything.
Okay, that's excellent. And you know what? I feel that a lot of people who have been researching different ET experiences talk about the same thing about how Alpha Draconis and, the Draco came to this planet. And, we're not going to get into that tonight because it's a little bit further out from what we're talking about. But that's sort of thing that has resonated with a lot of people. And so I feel you, Susan. I feel you, and it makes a lot of sense. So I do have an interesting comment here from UFO Experiencer, and and also from Kelly. Hi, Kelly. So we have here UFO Experiencer says, "Hi, Crystal. I channel a collective, and they told me some things about 3i Atlas. They say that it will affect each person differently depending on where they are spiritually." And people that are very earthbound, they will feel the shift also. Each person will be affected differently, but the ones that are open to it will be affected. They will be opening higher to consciousness. Angela, did you want to comment on that? Is that what you're feeling too?
I can absolutely comment on that. That is exactly the same information that I am aware of. I've channeled a few times with 3i Atlas. And Yes, they are here to raise the vibration, raise the frequency of not just Earth and or Gaia itself, but of the populace here. And you are correct. The information that I've received from the emissaries on 3i Atlas is that it will affect each individual differently depending on where we are in our frequency vibrational journey. It will affect all individuals on the planet. However, the ones that are totally unawakened and earthbound may not be affected at all. They may continue to stay exactly where they happen to be. There will be more that will that will awaken, and their DNA will reawaken. And then the ones who are currently awake, and I'm sure anybody that's out there that is currently awake can attest to the fact over the last, especially the last week or so, we've had some very interesting symptoms that have been going on. There's been brain fog. There's been a lot of emotional purges. Right now, we are purging a lot of the current DNA issues that we've had from past lives, past months, past traumas. And this is part of what they're doing, is they're helping us to clear all of that out. So thank you very much for that, UFO experiencer. Yes,
Okay.
I can absolutely confirm that.
Perfect. Well, you know what? There's a lot going on, and the thing that we've been talking about on this show for a while now is how people are starting to feel it. A lot of people are saying, well, I never sort of understood this, and I'm only sort of now sort of coming online, as it were, and I didn't know what to feel about this whole thing. And so it's interesting. You have, like, it's true. If you're open to it, you're going to be open, and you're going to sort of get the transmission, the energy. And what we talked about this on this show, and I think we talked about it, if I'm not mistaken, last week or the week before, we talked about how there are some people that still need to work out and still want to stay in the 3D matrix. And that's fine. There's no judgment. There's no, well, what's wrong with you? No, there are some people that need to work through that, and that's fine. And they will remain in the 3D if this is what they want. And then there are those people who are looking to come online and to upgrade. So I totally agree with the UFO experience and everything that you said, Angela, because it's about personal choice. Because at the end of the day, irregardless of your belief system or whatever, we all have free will. And that free will allows us to choose what direction we want to go in. So if you, and there's also been a lot of talk about how this planet is going to be splitting, and that you're going to have those who are going to be staying in the 3D matrix and those who are going to be going into a higher 5D. So again, it's all about choice. So I wanted to...
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, so back in 2012, we successfully elevated the universe into its next stage of evolution, which like 10 dominion parsec, 100, like 10 dominion domain, whatever. And I was shown this by one of the leaders of some Arcturian cult in San Francisco in one of my scenes. And I had 2 or 3 people tell me the same thing. Okay. The Earth has already been locked into the 5th dimension. It's already been stabilized and connected. We do a lot of that energy work ourselves with the silicon wave devices and everything I was describing. And the next thing is it's in the 6th dimensional gradient, but it has a 4th dimensional planarism that is allowing the 3-dimensional lesser evolved forms to exist here. But eventually, when it locks in, the 4th dimensional planarism will be eliminated, and the lesser evolved life forms will become obsolete and cease to exist unless they're relocated. There's 3 planets in Orion's belt, and they're near Mintaka, and there's also 2 or 3 planets in the Pleiades system near Procyon that they might be going to if they're lesser evolved.
Fair enough. So, it's about choice, and it's about how things are going to evolve on this planet. And like I said, it's always going to be about how things are going to work out. Now, Maureen, I wanted to ask you, because I know that you were a former researcher working with MUFON, and the idea of an object coming into our solar system, and the idea that it might be, because this is sort of like the crazy dream that we've always wanted, to oh my God, what if they land on the White House lawn? But if you were to be in contact, and maybe you are still in contact with people that you've worked with at MUFON, have they expressed any interest in this? Is this sort of too woo-woo? or do you know of people who work with MUFON, or other people who are maybe not a part of MUFON but researchers? What has been the the word on the street? Has it been, for example, what has it been?
Well, I have not been with MUFON for going on about 2.5 years.
Okay.
One of the issues that I had with MUFON is it's very nuts and bolts.
Okay.
And I can remember one of the last dictums from on high that we received was that MUFON wanted nothing to do with orbs or anything like that. And I thought, well, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. And I have, I would suspect, and when there's just there still seems to be so much emphasis on the nuts and bolts aspect, the whistleblowers, the back engineering, the non-human entities. There seems to be, and that's the world that MUFON is in, and that's the world I moved away from. But yeah, there seems to be these opposing forces. Those that are like you guys, who are looking at a larger picture of, it's way. It's almost as though the whole nuts and bolts narrative is something that is like a constructed or manufactured narrative that was given to us basically by, the CIA, since, from the 1940s on. And it's like the whole narrative has been massaged to keep it into this very, again, nuts and bolts area, and completely away from the paranormal. And I think it's only now beginning to leak in the paranormal, but I don't think it's in a very healthy way. It's like now recognizing that, well, maybe there's non-human intelligences, but not taking it into the ethereal, not taking it into the, well, there's just, for anybody who watched the presentation on Marian apparitions,
Yeah.
There's been something like, 2,500 Marian apparitions going back 2,000 years. And there's no question that this phenomena is real, and it is as strange as anything on Earth. And also when you start talking about orbs, orbs are, as anybody who's familiar with the Chris Bledsoe story,
Yeah.
Orbs and portals are very much a part of that story.
Yeah.
And that, the orbs are very much he would call them plasmoids, which is what the scientists from NASA would call them. It's like there's these two worlds out there. And I think there are these elements out there. And I would include the CIA, NASA, and the whole bit, who's doing their best to keep us boxed into this non-human intelligence, nuts and bolts aspect of it, so we don't go into this, what I'm more and more convinced is the reality. I mean, this is, it's like, it may even be beyond our capacity to even understand it. It may be, it goes into the ethereal. It just, I couldn't even begin to, it's hard for me to even express the weirdness of the phenomena when you get away from the controlled narrative.
Okay.
So yeah, and it doesn't matter what aspect, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's ghosts, whether it's orbs, whether it's Marian apparitions, whether it's UFOs, there's this weirdness that I think is almost beyond our comprehension.
Wow. That's really fascinating. And, I'd be interested to know though, and because I'm sure that you maybe still get the mail outs and all that kind of stuff, but is anybody in MUFON even talking about 3i Atlas? I think that's more like, where it's my question zeroing in. Have you heard of anybody?
I have almost no communication with people in MUFON. It's a world that's not mine anymore. So I can't tell you.
Yeah.
All I know is that my friends, a lot of people who have formerly been with MUFON or on their experience or research team, they're talking about it. So yeah, those who are already on, I would say, the esoteric side are talking about it.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I find that interesting because I thought, now look, we've seen Avi Loeb come out, and I think he's still working with Harvard. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I know we got the impression he's a former, but I think he's still working with Harvard.
I think he's emeritus. I
Yeah.
don't think he's, he's actively teaching or the head of the
Yeah.
department,
Okay.
but he's still associated with it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that we've been seeing him talk a lot about it. We've been seeing him come on the news, and they sort of like dust him off and they bring him out again. And I haven't really seen. I've seen Michio Kaku talk once or twice. I've seen, DeGrasse Tyson, who I'm not a fan of, sorry, talk about it here
Either.
and there.
I met him.
Yeah. And and a couple of other people have come out, but it seems that science is really afraid because
Oh,
apart from
yes.
Avi Loeb, who else is? I mean, like I said, I know that there's a British astrophysicist that he's saying, no, 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 this is BS. This is only just a comet and da da da. But apart from that, I haven't really even seen people come out and. I mean, I've seen a couple of things on Facebook, on YouTube. People say, "Oh, well, Avi's is a fraud," and blah blah. But I find that it's kind of interesting that someone of such an esteemed institution, someone from that kind of institution, is coming out, and quite frankly, coming out and saying, "Yeah, I think there might be something to this, other than just." And he's still following the science because he still follows it. And I remember seeing something the other day today where one of the interviewers was asking, well, have you seen Disclosure? The new film that just came out about Disclosure. And he said, yeah, I saw it, but he felt that, there was no real smoking gun and that there was no real proof. So I could see that he's still a Mr. Science, but that somehow, and what I like about his approach is that he's saying it's really about science should be looking at all the data. And I think that's his refrain, looking at all the data, and with that data, deciding that, yes, we should take a more scientific approach. However, there's always that possibility that it might be something else. And I think that's very refreshing as compared to scientists that sort of have a frown and are, basically browbeat anybody who strays away from the mantra and doesn't want to try to, have any kind of responsibility. And I just have to say that I know that you're no longer a part of MUFON. However, I do find it strange that nobody from MUFON, nobody, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just haven't been paying attention, but where are all the MUFON folks that are coming, who are saying, yes, I think this is something? Where are these people, Maureen?
They're not, I don't think they're there.
Why not?
I mean, they're not there on a lot of things.
Okay.
And again, it's a very nuts and bolts world. And one of the things about Avi Loeb, he's sort of, I think of him as being sort of like a present day John Mack in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, John Mack was the head of the
Psychology.
psychology department.
Yeah.
Who went with the evidence and started to research alien abductions because that's where the research took him. Avi Loeb is the closest thing we have to John Mack.
Yeah,
but
very good analogy.
Until he came out and started to talk about how we need to take everything, we need to keep we need to keep it completely open. We can't go down a line because this is the way it's always been. I had reservations with him before, because when he organized the Project Galileo, where he got a lot of very top level names, astronomers and others, to start looking into the stars for life out there, I think, well, instead of aiming their telescopes to out there, why aren't they aiming them? Why aren't they targeting nuclear aircraft carrier strike groups? They'll see all the UFOs they want to see. You don't have to go out to Interstellar or wherever. But he is not a John Mack.
Okay.
But he's still the only science voice that I have heard that has credibility.
Yeah.
So he really did put his reputation on the
he
line.
did.
By browbeating it. You have to keep an open mind. You have to keep an open mind. You have to keep an open mind when everybody else is closed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what, I love that analogy. It's true. I think he's the closest thing to John Mack. I mean, John Mack had a different approach, and he definitely worked a lot closely with the experiencers and really gathered. And I think he was also in a perfect environment because he was in psychology to really understand the psychology about what people were experiencing. So I think he had that much more of a leg up on the whole situation. I have a comment here from Siwa. Seong 696, he says, I'm a member of MUFON and they see it as a comet. Now, you see, this is something that I find disappointing because you would think that MUFON would be the people to say, yeah, I think it might be something. I think you pointed it out that MUFON has been slowly but surely over the years being infiltrated by a lot of CIA, FBI folks, you know, and they have completely changed their tune. And it's no longer the sort of like, you know, on the street, you know, ragtag crew that are going out and really doing research. These a lot of people that have like, you know, former government, high level government operatives that are working in MUFON. So I don't know what that means, but
including the military industrial complex.
Exactly.
I know that firsthand.
Yeah. And so all these people are now getting into MUFON. And in my opinion, maybe they're changing the narrative because I thought of all people, MUFON would be the ones to say, no, this might be something. And we are definitely going to be, you know, boots on the ground and trying to figure out what this is. And I haven't heard boo from MUFON. So not impressed. But moving forward, I just wanted to sort of just have a little view here of what's happening with 3i Atlas. I was able to find something. There's a gentleman named Ray's Astrophotography, and he is an amateur astronomer, and he takes photographs of, he's been taking photographs since July of 3i Atlas. And he has done a stunning job. He, on his website right now, he has basically a you know, live capture of 3i Atlas, and I'm just going to share that with our audience tonight. And this is what he's capturing. And what he's captured is that it seems to be spinning around. It seems to be moving. Well, as you know, it's moving very quickly. And it seems to just have the lights coming off this object are just very, very different. And I encourage everybody who wants to see a lot more. He has a lot of videos that he talks about 3i Atlas. And he has a lot of stuff that he's sharing with the public because if you look at some of the pictures that NASA came up with for 3i Atlas, this was pathetic. Don't forget that Ray is a amateur astronomer, and I'll just show you who he is. Some people probably already know him and have seen his work on YouTube. And that's him with one of his telescopes. And he's been bringing a lot of major, very clear, high precision photos and videos of 3i Atlas, and he has been doing a much better job than NASA. And I always sort of quote Stanton Friedman, NASA, never a straight answer. I'm not a fan of NASA. I've never have, because they can mean they're just not on the ball. And if you consider that this is an amateur astronomer who was able to get some really amazing shots of 3i Atlas, I feel that there's a problem. There's something wrong with NASA, because this is what they've been able to capture. So if you look at here, you have a very, very dull, blurry image of so-called 3i Atlas, and on the side here you see other images as well, and it's a joke. It's an absolute joke, and it tells me that that there's definitely, look, I'm not trying to get into the whole sort of conspiracy about the whole thing, but it seems to me that NASA is pulling a fast one, and they just don't respect the audience. You know, they don't respect the audience, and they feel that they can show this kind of garbage and expect people to, believe it. It's absolute trash. Susan, did you want to comment on that? Did you want to comment on that? Because this,
yes,
I don't see why NASA would want to put up a stupid photo like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I can tell you exactly why they're doing this. The reason there was the blackout when the Three Eye Atlas went behind the sun, there's already been reports floating around on the internet, obscure sources saying that the Chinese space agency sent their space probes toward it, and one of them attacked it, and Three Eye Atlas went and blew it up. And kudos to Three Eye Atlas. And then there's been several launches of deep space probes by NASA attacking it. That's why they blocked out the live feed during the government shutdown. It was all conveniently arranged. And then the reason that NASA is giving these blurry photos and not revealing any information is because they're still up there trying to attack it. I heard something about 2 or 3 days ago from this spaceship called Maven. There's somewhere around Mars or something. They were supposed to take photographs of Three Eye Atlas. What happened to the photographs? All of a sudden, Maven went dead. Well, I wonder why. Maybe Three Eye Atlas killed the electronics on it or something. Maybe it was sent to attack it. They were going to try to attack it going from Jupiter to Mars, and they were trying to shoot something at it. Several times this has happened. They shot, like, according to this one guy, Ishmael Perez, he said that they shot something on a equivalent of 500 hydrogen bombs at it. And instead of the Three Eye Atlas being disintegrated or anything, it absorbed the impact and reconfigured itself and became even bigger, like it's some kind of a specialized metamaterial. And now they're saying, oh, it's a living ship and everything. No, it's not. The materials seem to be like it's a living material because it reorganizes itself, because it has a memory lattice work, a memory matrix, and the metal itself, it's a metal organic compound. And it assumes the certain matrix configurations that would be in the standing field pattern and enveloping the ship. And the other thing is, NASA was never originally meant to be a civilian space agency. When it was formed, it was supposed to be a military space agency with a disguise as being civilian, and that was a ruse. Behind the backdrop of all of that, you have Solar Warden, the secret space fleet. Gary McKinnon hacked into the NASA files and found out off-world officer names and stuff, the different frigates, the different destroyers and everything up there of the secret space fleet, which is being run by the deep state, the military-industrial complex, the alphabet soup, and the negative EP scourge. And this is what we're here to annihilate. We got to free this planet and this sector. That's why NASA's not telling you anything, because they're hiding what they're really up to.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm thinking as well. And I think that Maureen is sort of nodding in agreement with some of that as well. I just want to just pick up, sorry, Maureen, just before you start, I just want to say a quick, if anybody, we are not taking calls right away, so please don't call right away. I think I just got a call from someone in Wisconsin. We're taking calls a little bit later. So please hang on and we'll get to your calls a bit later. So we'll just continue with the show. Maureen, did you want to just comment on what Susan was saying? Because I agree with that 1,000%. And it just seems to be, it just seems to be BS all the way. You want to help us out?
Well, it's remarkable that a amateur backyard astronomer, Ray, and I can't remember his whole name. Is Ray the astro astronomer?
Yeah, Ray's astrophotography is the
astrophotography.
Yeah, on YouTube.
You know that with his backyard equipment, he could get clearer images of this object, whatever it is, than NASA. And then nobody questions it. I mean, we do, we get on the sites, we question it, but does the news media, does anybody in Washington? No. And so either NASA is totally incompetent, which it's not, or they're hiding something. And just thank God we have the rays of the world out there showing us a bit of the truth. Everybody should give this guy kudos.
They do, but everybody is giving this guy kudos. And this guy has been experiencing a real, sort of like grassroots sort of support, because this guy has been saying, look, he even said in one of his videos, I can't play it here just because of copyright reasons, but he has said, I don't understand, because everybody was even Avi Loeb Okay.
Yeah,
Even Avi
Avi
Loeb
Loeb commented.
was saying, what the hell? He said, what's
Yeah.
going on? He said everybody was waiting with bated breath. And a lot of people said, okay, well, I guess it's because of the lockdown and no. Okay. So now, okay, let's go. And so the pictures came out and the pictures were like, you got to be joking. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, really? Like, I mean, if you have the James Webb telescope and you have all of that kind of machinery all the way up there, millions of dollars of machinery, and these are the crap, images that you're getting? Really? And I
Because
mean,
they're hiding something.
of course they're hiding
The fact that
something.
they're attacking it.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're hiding it, and I can't understand. And I want to just sort of ask Angela, is Three Eye Atlas, some of the messages that you've been getting, are they saying why they're being attacked, or what kind of experience that they're having with what's going on? Like what kind of messages have they been sending to you? Because there's the whole nuts and bolts and the whole sort of like NASA lies. But it'd be nice to sort of get an idea of what they want to put across in terms of
I'm laughing because literally as we're chatting, I have a direct channel that is going back and forth, and they just said to me, if Three Eye Atlas is confirming, yes, we have been sorry, I was writing this down, so it's a little bit messy. I have to reread it. We've been under attack by your Earth people several times. They fear our presence and technological advances. We have deflected and disarmed all that they have sent. We get great delight in watching the ruses of your peoples and the deception they are trying to pass on to the Earth occupants. Because the whole idea is the fact that they know that Three Eye Atlas is who and what the people who are aware know, which is it is emissaries from other star nations who are here to help us. Unfortunately, the governments fear that knowledge. They fear the fact, because if the people on Earth actually realize the fact that we have been deceived for how many
millions of years, really.
Well, yes, millions of years in general.
Yeah.
And I do have a fairly long channel here that I received a little while ago from them. But if the people on Earth have realized that there has been deception ongoing for a long period of time, essentially it's going to cause an upheaval, and the governments are no longer going to be believed. And everything that they've been trying to keep us boxed in with is no longer going to be accepted by the general populace. So that is a big part of why, unfortunately, NASA, governments, the Air Force, militaries, all of those, MUFON, unfortunately, they've all been told we need to keep this under wraps to such a degree so that we can keep the populace in check. Otherwise, they are absolutely going to be powerless at some point.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what has been happening over the last year and a half. And I do know that part of that is because I am channeled in with Susan as well.
Yeah.
A lot of it is because of the warriors and all of the underground people that are coming in, and they are, literally getting rid of all of these underground facilities that have all been so negative for so many years.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is people on Earth, government-wise, that are trying to keep control are losing control at this time. And they are very, very well aware of it. They've been very aware of it for a period of time now. And this is sort of their last hurrah, because they know once the people that are seeing what's going on, and to be honest, you were talking about the weather. Part of the reason that the weather is going haywire is so that people cannot see up in the skies.
Yeah.
When you can't see, how are you able to confirm if you can't see what's going on? It was done on purpose.
And
it was purposely being hidden.
All the chemtrails all of a sudden are appearing over the skies when I went jogging earlier.
Wow. Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. And and would you be able to say, because I know that Susan spoke about it, but when you were talking with these different groups, did you have a connection, Angela, with different groups? Like, are there a particular group that is, how should I say, driving the ship? Like,
No,
who are
there
we
are
connected with?
several. There
Okay.
are several different star nations that
Mm-hmm.
are as ambassadors and emissaries on
Mm-hmm.
board.
Mm-hmm.
Some, and this is not all of them, there are Arcturians, Pleiadians, Lyrans, Lemurians. And we have to remember, in every single culture, regardless of which one it is, there are going to be benevolent and malevolent. These
Mm-hmm.
are all of a benevolent race.
Mm-hmm.
They are here only for our greatest and highest good.
Mm-hmm.
They are here to raise the vibration and frequency of the people on Earth as well as of Gaia herself.
Mm-hmm.
And they are here to help us. So I won't go into the channel at this point in
No.
time, but they are truly, truly here
Mm-hmm.
with the greatest love and light for us. And in fact, I can feel my heart space, like my heart
Yeah, I
space is
feel it
just
too.
totally
Yeah.
expanding.
Yeah.
And they are sending us love and light. And to be honest, they are very, very thankful
Mm-hmm.
for us getting the message out.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, we definitely have to get the message out because, and I just sort of just, to comment on what you were saying before, is that you were saying how people, they can't keep people in check and that they're trying to sort of lie to people and sort of keep the wool over our eyes. Now, one of the things that 2012 was responsible for, and they say 2012 was supposed to have apocalypse, but apocalypse means just, revealing. It's not about Hollywood, buildings collapsing. No, that's BS. It's apocalypse is about opening and revealing and opening our eyes. And it's been happening since 2012 where people have been getting online. People have been waking up. People slowly but surely. It doesn't like happen with a bang. People are slowly coming online. And so it's been a slow process. And people have been waking up. And so now even without the Three Eye Atlas, you can see what's happening in the world in terms of the news. People are starting to protest. People are starting to bulk this back, bulk against the system. Young people are just not buying it. Young people are not watching the news as they used to. People are not, a lot of young people, oddly enough, and even regular people are just not on the social media as much anymore. People are really starting to take back their sovereignty and take back their headspace and their heart space as well and say, look, I don't believe in discriminating against women. I don't believe in discriminating against people of color and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really changing. Now, we have a long ways to go. And I think that when you have someone like, who's in the United States, I'm not going to get political, but I mean, when you have people like that in the United States, this is a sort of like, it's theater. You know what I mean? It's theater to try and convince people that, the system is still working. There's holes, like, that, what is that fable about, like, the dam and like there's holes and, they're putting their fingers in the holes, hoping that the dam won't break down, but there's like, it's leaking. And it's not going to hold up anymore. And I think they realize that. And I think they realize that they're cornered in. And so this is the last gasp. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
They have been grasping at straws over the last several years. Mm-hmm. They are realizing that economically, socially, emotionally, physically, people are starting to uprise. They are starting to take back their own power. And that's what all of this is about. Mm-hmm. And they are literally not believing anymore. And when you start looking at things like the statistics with regard to jobs, with regard to why is food going up so much in price, why do we have so many crops? Why do we have, and I'm not trying to get anything political here, why do we have vaccinations that are actually hurting people? Why are they making up all of these false things? It's not like the statistics are lying when you start delving in deep enough. And people who are intelligent enough are starting to understand that, and they are starting to question it. And the minute that you start questioning, that is when the government says, oh, I think we're in trouble. Yeah. And yes, they are in trouble, and they know that they're in trouble because at this point in time, look around the world at all of the upheavals and what has been happening with all of the governments. And this is something that had actually been channeled to me back several months ago as well, that there were going to be major downfalls of the governments and that this was all going to be part and parcel of the general populace on Earth raising the frequency, raising the vibration, and us coming out from, at least for those who are going to 4D, 5D, etc., coming out of the matrix that we've been bound into for so long, and coming out of that confined space.
Exactly. And it's interesting because we see what's happening, and it's funny because it's now on display for everybody. And I remember thinking way back when, I mean, I'm dating myself. Oh my God. When the internet first started, I was thinking, this is the universal mind. This is the mind of everybody, where we can all be a part of this. And this brings us together closer as a planet of one, because we are seeing what's happening. We are seeing how we're all bearing witness, basically. We are bearing witness to what's happening, and how we are all going to be affected. And, I'm going to be honest with you. I have to say that I'm proud of people in many ways, because, way back when people would say, oh, we can't sort of release this kind of information because people are going to get crazy and people are going to be scared, and we cannot have this sort of information go out because it's going to cause mass panic. And to be honest, I feel that people are very excited. You know what I mean? Nobody's running around and reporting and going crazy. People are just sort of having a good time and saying, okay, this is interesting. The only uproar that I see is on YouTube, where people are, putting out videos, but no one's really going crazy. Maureen, when you look at this, do you agree with this as well? People are not really sort of flipping out or getting scared. But I actually wanted to ask, do you find that people have been reporting different types of UFOs, or have you been seeing anything about different types of reports, maybe related or not related to 3i Atlas? I mean, apart from the Marian apparitions, obviously.
I really haven't been paying that much attention to the whole UFO world. And again, my interests have gone more to esoteric topics like orbs, which I will be giving a presentation for you guys next spring. But talk about plasmoids, orbs, portal, that whole thing. But I was going to say that I would suspect for most people overall, this is of absolutely no concern. They're more concerned with, the Seahawks or who's been traded to the Browns,
Exactly.
that sort of thing. One thing, and I'll bring this up because I think this is the perfect analogy for this, in that I first started seeing chemtrails out in rural southeastern Iowa 15 years ago, and started photographing the gridded sky stacked. Where you'd wake up in the morning, the sky's clear, and by noon, the whole sky's milky white. I drive across the country. I see these trails across the sky everywhere between Iowa and the Pacific Northwest. And then over the Olympic Peninsula where I live, they're overhead every single day. I have photographs, I even have photographs of a dawn where, it was a really a vivid dawn, with lots of reds and yellows that sparkled. I mean, the whole sky sparkled. And yet you mention that to somebody. I mean, I became for a while, somebody on one of our little local, email newsletters, neighborhood newsletters, said something about she thought she saw a chemtrail, and I responded that, you definitely did. I saw that. I became the most hated person in this is a very well-educated, very, I would say, progressive liberal community where I live, Port Townsend, Washington. But anyway, I became the most hated person, I think, in Port Townsend. I was a nutcase. I need psychological help. I should be arrested on the streets. It was something it could not even be discussed. And I would just say, hey, just go outside and look up. And then I'd get a response. Well, my uncle, the pilot, says, or Wikipedia says, and if you can do that with something that everybody can see every single day, what do you do about phenomena like UFOs or Marian apparitions or all of this stuff, Bigfoot, all of this stuff that people don't normally see? So if the people can be so influenced not to see what is overhead every single day, no matter where you are, how in the world can you expect them to be even begin to go to the stuff that they don't see? You know,
They
where
don't
they
see
have
what they're looking
they
at.
have, pardon?
They don't see what they're looking at.
Well, they can't. And sometimes I would point up to, again, a gridded sky. And often along with the gridded sky, you'd also have that kind of like that oil sheen, that rainbow oil sheen up in the
You know,
sky. I mean, they
it gets on
literally
the
cannot
cars.
see
It
it.
gets in the house. It gets into film on everything because we usually
That's
have
right.
our air
But
off,
the point
and the
is
film,
that they
and it's
can't
an
they
oily
can't
film.
even see it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't even get people to see what is there obvious for everybody to see,
Mm-hmm.
how can you get them to see the stuff that you can't see?
Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, there's still, I was surprised because they're still doing with the thing with the chemtrails. And I'm thinking,
Mhm.
guys, it's again, last gasp. Like they're trying their best to really sort of hide things from people. And it's just not going to work because people are awake and aware. So I think that we are a good hour into the show. So if people want to call into the show, I'll try to take as many calls as we possibly can. And, we can call into the show. And if you have a question for Maureen or Angela or Susan, just let me know and we'll take it from there. So we've opened up the phone lines and people are welcome to call in. So right now, I just wanted to sort of take a look at. So today, basically, the Three Eye Atlas is going to be passing closest to our, to the planet. As you can see from this picture, is basically the trajectory of where Three Eye Atlas is going to be, and so this is sort of where we are right now. And whereas before it was behind the sun, and now it's coming out from behind the sun, and we are going to be having a chance to be able to see it. If anybody can put in the chat if they've seen anything, like, I don't know, if you are an amateur astronomer and you have access to a big telescope, please let us know if you've seen anything, or if you've seen anything else that you find kind of strange or different. Please feel free to share with us those kind of comments as well. So the phone lines are open. So if you want to call in and, share some of your experiences with us, we would love to hear from you. And basically, I'm looking here. Angela, did you want to share with us anything else that we should be looking at with Three Eye Atlas? Anything else that you've picked up with Three Eye Atlas?
Well, I have a channel here that I received just
Okay.
as we started that I would love to be able to read. And it's funny because many times I don't get a chance to write these down. So the fact that I was able to write this down and actually get it here, this is wonderful. And this comes directly from them. I'm sure if there's anything else they'd like to add, they will.
Sure.
They are stating, we are here to enlighten and encourage the Earth populace to accept with open arms the idea of intergalactic and interdimensional races other than your own. Your planet has shared space with many star nations over thousands and thousands of years, many of which exist simultaneously next to your current reality.
Exactly.
Although there are more, bear with me here, more races, although there are some races, as I said, I wrote this down and I was writing it so I could make sure I got it. So I have to reread my writing here. Although there are some races that are not of a benevolent nature, the majority of star nations are very peaceful and loving and wish only for the Earth inhabitants to rise in frequency and vibration. There is absolutely no cause for alarm or distress at this time. Our mission here is to observe the reactions of your peoples and to help in raising the vibration and frequency of both the planet and the peoples.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And it's really interesting because we we're going to have to come back again at some point and to discuss where we're at, let's say, 6-7 months down the line, because it really shows that they're coming to be with us. And it's funny because over the years, decades, to be honest, we've been hearing about how people like John Mack and people that have been studying this phenomena are talking about how they've always had this program of coming in and having hybrid children and all that sort of thing. And before, when we were exploring this, especially from Barney and Betty Hill onward, we've always heard about this sort of thing where people were being impregnated, DNA was being taken from men and women, and we didn't really understand it at the time. And now that we're at this point in this juncture, it's interesting how it's starting to make sense. Now, way back when last year, we had Jeff Silver on the show, and Jeff Silver was talking about how there's going to be a new humanity on this earth, and that how they are here to be with us and to share this planet with us. And so it seems kind of interesting that I'm starting to see the other side. Like, I can only speak for myself. I'm starting to say, okay, now it makes sense. When you look back on history and you see, okay, this was all this, DNA and programs and stuff that was going on. It was there to create a new race on this planet. And so it's basically going to be, in many ways, a hybrid race is going to come on this planet and help us to evolve and to help us with our DNA. So it seems that that's sort of where we're headed, and it's going to start soon. And so maybe this is sort of where it's at, where this is the point where we realize that there are definitely those among us that are working with us, because we know about that. We've already sort of, spoken with different experiencers over the decades about how there are many races that are here. But it's going to be even bigger. We're going to be seeing a bigger representation, as it were, on this planet. So I'm really looking forward to that. And it seems that we are at a turning point in humanity. Is it really a turning point? Thoughts? Anyone?
Absolutely are at a turning point. And for those that may be new to the channel and I'm sure have open minds, there are many hybrids that do walk along with us now. They're just very well disguised, but there are many, many of them, and they have been with us for many years. And there are, as the channel mentioned earlier, many of the intergalactic and interdimensional races are here and exist simultaneously with us. It is just that we may not be of the frequency to be able to see or feel them. I've had contact with many different galactic races as of now, and it's absolutely beautiful. It really, truly is. They have nothing, at least these races that I deal with, that is malevolent. They are all of a benevolent race, and they are benevolent nature, and they only will seek out those with the greatest and highest good in mind. And they are here to teach us, educate us, and to help us learn to help ourselves so that we can enhance our earth and enhance ourselves, so that we know what we're looking forward to in the future.
Exactly. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you so much for sharing that. And sort of getting back to the point we were talking about, where it seems that China was, being attacked, or, the United States was attacking 3i Atlas. I think there's also the fact that different governments are trying to get access to this technology. And I think this is also fueling the reason why they're trying to keep it quiet. Now, NASA obviously is funded by the government. And in my own personal opinion, I feel that NASA definitely has a lot more of a military sort of...
They do. They are.
Absolutely. Did you want to comment on that, Susan? Because I feel that it's more, the reason why they're trying to do this is say they want to get their hands on the goodies before anybody else does. What do you think, Susan?
Oh, okay. I can tell you specifically 3 reasons why. The deep state, the military-industrial complex, the defense intelligence agencies, the alphabet soup, and all of them, the evil elite, they all know that they're losing a grip on this human race. With all the technology in our hands right now, which is a lot of the gray technology from reverse engineering at Area 51, as per Philip Corso, with all this stuff, the humans are becoming acclimated to the presence of alien technology and eventually the presence of the aliens themselves. There's been fleets and fleets and fleets of UFOs all over the planet showing themselves. The spheres, the cylinders, the triangles, the octahedrons, all of them. They're making their presence known. They're conditioning the human race. Slowly but surely. It doesn't have to be the whole human race. It only has to be 15 to 20% of the human population. That's all that's needed right now for them to be totally awake and everything, for them to join what they call the cosmic community. That's what they call it, where I come from, the cosmic community. And we have to evaluate, I'm on one of the boards, we have to evaluate the different planets to see if they are good candidates to join what they call the cosmic community. What does that mean? That means there'll be ETs walking among us out in the open like it should be. That's the norm in the rest of the universe. This is the most weird, obsolete, sterile planet I've ever seen and my total vast expanse. The second reason, they want to control everything because they know they're controlled by the negative ET scourge. And the evil elite have access to the secret space fleet from the negative ET tall whites,
Okay.
and negative Pleiadians, and negative ET scourge. And they're allowed to say, oh, it's our secret space fleet. Oh, it's our technology. Oh, we're the best ones on the block. Oh, we're the most powerful military in the world. But in exchange for that, they have to control the human population. They have to control the human collective. How do they do that? They do that from psyops. They do that by manipulating human genetics, because DNA is a biological representation of a silicon wave field, a cylindrical silicon wave field. And it has a harmonic resonance coupling with all the other DNA on the planet. A person, whatever one person does effectively is recorded in a resonating field around the planet created by the human DNA. If the deep state loses control of the human psyche, they start to lose control of the human DNA. They start to lose control over the population. Then they're going to be on somebody's dinner platter later on that night. And I'm not, they eat humans. They eat them.
Oh boy. Well, we don't want that. No, thank you. But I just want to say we have our first caller this evening. And can you just tell us your name, sir, and where you're calling from?
Hi, Crystal. This is Sua. I am
hi,
phone number
Sua.
is registered. Hi, Angela. Hi, Susan. Hi, Maureen.
Hi, Sua. Nice to see you again.
Hi.
So what's your question tonight, Sua? Or what are your comments?
In Arkansas.
Sorry?
What's that? What's that?
Yeah, sorry. What was your question or comment tonight?
Oh, so I just wanted to comment on two things, MUFON and 3i Atlas. Okay, so first of all, I'm an abductee, experiencer, contactee as well. I'm a member of MUFON, and like I said in my message, they, the last newsletter that came out, it was basically don't make 3i Atlas more than what it is. It's just a comet. Okay, that was very disappointing. And so, but you know what? At the last meeting, members of MUFON were really outraged and upset about the NASA press release as well. So there are members that know that and believe that there's more than meets the eye. As far as 3i Atlas is concerned, I did connect with it today, and so just wanted to share a couple of insights. Now, I totally agree with everything that Angela has to say about it. A couple of things. One is they're very happy and excited that we are all talking about them, and that we are all discussing 3i Atlas, and that we all have this wonder going on about 3i Atlas. They did indicate to me that everyone that connects with 3i Atlas will only get an aspect or aspects of them and who they are, what they do, and what they're here to do. But totality of them and their mission and their being is beyond what we can conceive and imagine. Okay. Also, aspects of them, yes, they're a collective of many collectives. So aspects of them are ancient. what they told me was that they are our ancestors and we are their ancestors. So what I got out of that is that aspects of them are ancient, and then aspects of them are from the future. Okay, so yes, and so and they're masters of time streams and timelines, so they can do this. But all of them donated genetics to us, so that's why they're here, and they're really here to help us with our vibration, because right now the world is in chaos, and after they pass us, it'll help smooth things out. Because right now there are things that are pulling us in all different directions, and their presence helps to smooth things out for us. But they're really, really excited that we are, even though our governments are pretty much covering things up, that they're excited that we are talking about them and that we are very excited about them. So just wanted to share that.
Wow, that is great. I really, that's great. And, you know, it's really encouraging. I mean, it just basically solidifies and adds to what Angela was saying, that, you know, they realize that people are waking up and that people are wanting a change. And I think that's a big thing. That's one of the things that I'm noticing, is that a lot of people are saying they want to change. They know that we are not meant to be on this constant rat race and this treadmill 9 to 5 and dealing with like high prices and high food and all that kind of stuff. That's actually a distraction. You know, the high prices, the high food, the high, you know, the difficulty to live your life is a distraction, and it's there to bring the energy down. And I think people are waking up and saying, you know, what is this? Like, why are we going through this? And that's leading to people starting to riot and starting to go crazy, because they're saying we don't need to live like this. This is all artificial. This is there to sort of support the billionaires, and this is there to support a certain agenda for a certain select few, and not for the planet. And I think that people are starting to wake up and say, we have to do this for the planet. It's for all of us, not only just from like the extraterrestrial perspective, but just also from the human perspective, and also from the other living creatures on this planet, in particular animals, which I have a big heart for. And so we have to sort of change the way we interact with each other, and we have to change the way we interact with the planet. That's my 2 cents. And anybody if want to add to that, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no one has been bringing up AI, and this is an area that I have really been following a lot lately because it scares me witless. It seems to me that we're talking about like two opposing forces here. We have the humanity who are perhaps hybrids. They have been raised in their vibration. You have indigo children, you have the crystal children, you have the star seed, you have this whole element of those who are raising their vibrations and becoming humans that are more with the stars. And then on the other hand side, you have the advent of transhumanism, which is basically, and you know, I've been listening to these AI billionaires, you know, be it from Google, be it from OpenAI, you name it. And it's like they can't wait to see humans gone. We are redundant. We need to be replaced by super machines, super AI. And so how do you reconcile, on the one hand, humans who are evolving to a higher level versus machines that are being raised to a higher level? You know, I don't think you can have two at the same time.
No.
And it's, yeah, I mean, one, we're elevating humanity, and on the other side, we're destroying it. We're eliminating it. I mean,
but you know,
I can explain that.
But you know what? If I may sort of jump in here, if I may jump in, you know what though, Susan, Maureen, I think what's happening also, and we touched upon this briefly, is that we have the planet which is going to be splitting. And you have people that want to stay in the third dimension, that want the transhumanism, that want the money and the power and all that jazz. Those are the people that are going to be staying in that third dimensional reality.
Before they're annihilated.
You know, but I mean, that's sort of what they want. If that's what they want, that's what they want, then that's fine. Because again, we have free will. However, I feel that what's also happening is that we are having other people that are going to be going at the other side and who are going to be elevated. So it'll get to a point, and I'm quoting Bashar here, it'll get to a point where you don't even see these people anymore because we are splitting. There's many different realities. We're multidimensional. And so in a multidimensional world, it's really about, splitting to the point where we don't see these people, we don't have any kind of interaction with them. And
Are
so,
you saying that they'll have their own world and we'll have our own world? And it's like we're in two different
yeah,
streams of consciousness?
yeah, pretty much two different streams of reality and two different streams of existence. So that's sort of more of what I see happening. But Suha, did you want to comment on that?
Yes, I just want to comment.
Yeah.
Comment quickly about AI, and then I'll talk because I gotta run home.
Yeah.
I'm currently in the lobby of the gym, but so I wanted to comment real quick about AI. AI is going to be our last hurdle. Right now, our current hurdle is our vibration. Okay, the ETs tell me that our main responsibility is to hold light and work on our vibrations. That's it. But that's our current hurdle right now. But the last one that we'll have to deal with is dark AI. Back in 2019, 2020, I received a visit from 3 draconian reptilians, and they were infected with dark AI. And I was able to remove the infection using my own light. And it was a process. But anyways, so I, in a past life, I was a reptilian, so that's what they came to me, draconian prince. Anyways, long story. But so they came to me and I was able to remove the infection. And I realized at that time that in the future, this dark AI is what we will have to deal with. Okay. This is going to be, right now we are gearing up. We're gearing up to actually in the future deal with that dark AI. Okay. That's why we are, I don't know if a lot of the ETs are saying this, but part of the reason why we're ascending is because once we reach our more luminous state, we are going to be the cure for that. Okay, because only light can battle that darkness. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay.
Wow, thank you so much, Sua. You are so connected. It is really so good to hear from you, and you really sort of you really bring it home, and you're making so much sense. I just absolutely love it, and so thank you so much for sharing that with us. And on that note, Susan, I think you wanted to sort of comment on something. Did you want to comment on the AI aspect, Susan?
Thank you, Crystal. I'm going to log off.
Thank you.
Okay, I can tell you exactly what's going on because I've seen it before.
Okay.
I do remember my past lives, and I've even had some of this stuff happen in this life when I've had scout scenes on other planets. What they do, and this is how I know it's the negative ET Tallites, the negative Pleiadians, the negative ET Scourge that's here. I can tell it's the same criminals that we fought in our past life or in my past life, and it's the same ones that are here on this planet doing exactly verbatim the same exact thing they did on these other planets. They went ahead and they had a basal implant in the skulls of all the inhabitants on the given planet. Then what they do is they tie it into a mainframe computer system. And then what they do is these people go on automatic pilot, and their amygdala or their moral center is overridden. And then what they will make these people perform horrible atrocities toward their own kind, their own children, whatever. And these people, half of their brain is shut off, so they don't even remember what they're doing. And we had to go in there, and I had to beam in the center of this mainframe computer complex, and I had to be pulled so bad that I almost passed out. That we can fry the electronics in the mainframe computer and fry all the basal implants and all these different beings that were on this one planet. This has been several planets we've had to do this to. And then they get delirious and disorientated, and they walk around like, where am I, and everything when they wake up. And another thing that they do, And we wiped out the enemy, or so we thought we did, but the same enemy is here on this planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they want this planet? This is a strategic navigational point. This is a critical point in the Orion Stargate portal system, where souls go when they go through the fast track system to the Cygnus out in the other end. Andrew Collins mentioned this in the Cygnus Mystery, the Cygnus Key, and the Journey of Souls. Okay, he's talked about this. That's the normal migration path of souls when people die. Unfortunately, your Judeo-Christian religions and everything took over, and that was run by the Anunnaki, the Enlil and Enki and all of that stuff. And they kidnapped the souls when the person died. And they put it in a vicious reincarnation loop, and they feed off of the luge or the energy from the reincarnated. And then and that's what they do. Why? If they control this planet, which is on one of the key critical focusing points on what they call the light harmonic baseline resonance, they will control the very nature of physical reality, and they can suck the life force out of this universe, just like they did in the other one before we had to collapse it. Mm-hmm. So this is a big, huge battle, and they're using AI. They're using anything they can, graphene oxide. They're using mRNA, the COVID vaccine, and all that crap to try to control and subjugate the humans. It isn't so. They're not battling over the humans. They're battling over the planet. It's like a soccer ball with the black spots on it. You remove one of those black spots, the soccer ball collapses. And the Earth is one of those black spots. And that's what we're fighting to liberate this whole sector.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's really intense. And that really sort of makes me feel, oh my God, helpless in some way, because I'm thinking all the stuff that's going on above, and what can we do? But I had an interesting question, Maureen, in your research. Before AI came on the scene, did you ever hear anything about people talking about something similar before AI actually, reared its ugly head? Did you ever hear about anything of the like? Like, 'cause sometimes you hear things before they start.
Well, it wasn't something that I was really tuned into in the past, but it just seems to me like in the last 5-6 years, maybe 10 years max, it's really reared its ugly head.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of references right now, where, I listen to like former CEOs of Google or OpenAI. I mean, top people, who are talking about like, by 2028, 80% of jobs will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that, there's some like a Peter Thiel, who's one of the, old, uber billionaires, when asked, if he saw a place for humans, but basically no, that they're, and then if what they all have in common is that they talk about if super AI, that means its intelligence dwarfs us. We become like ants on the earth. Mm-hmm. If that comes to be, and there's no reason to believe it doesn't, I mean, it's a game changer. Humanity is gone. It's done. And it seems to be something that has really reared its ugly head just recently. And I think more and more CEOs are coming out and are talking about the negative sides, but it's the same time, you can't stop because your adversaries will keep at it. Mm-hmm. You can't stop it because militarily, you need to keep there's all these reasons why they can't put brakes on something that they all recognize as could very well eliminate humanity from the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
We're
a
not
weird
going to allow
situation.
that to happen.
Pardon?
We're not going to allow that to happen. That's where the pulse comes.
Well, I sure hope so. Yeah. So no matter how
this planet is not going to go anywhere. We cannot afford to let this planet go anywhere. And if it means protecting the human race, then so be it. We are not going to allow the AI or the negative ET scourge and the evil elite to take over everything. They're on their last legs right now. That's why they're threatening nuclear war. That's why they're doing all the chemtrail flooding and spraying everything. They know they're going to end up on somebody's dinner plate, and we're going to make damn sure that they're eliminated. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get really angry. Yeah. I feel like I want to go after them.
Yeah. But, the thing is that it's also one of the things that I'm starting to see. For example, you're seeing what's happening in Europe right now, where European countries are trying to arm and rearm themselves because they see that the United States is no longer going to be supplying them with weapons and all that, or going to be, propping them up. And I wonder, a lot of people are saying we don't want to go to war. We don't want this. And I just want to know how that energy affects, how we move forward as a human race. Like, I mean, is it enough for us in terms of our energy to say, we don't want to be a part of this. We don't want to be a part of this, because everything that you're describing, Maureen, and everything that you're talking about, in terms of, all these jobs are going to be gone. That's fear tactics in some way. Like there's a certain amount of fear tactics, but at the same time, and maybe I'm just sort of being delusional, but I feel that people are starting to really, and I touched upon this earlier, I feel that people are starting to get a little bit sort of weary of the technology. People are getting tired. They're feeling like exhausted from the technology and the constant screens. And people are, making sure that their children don't have as much screen time and all that. It seems that, at least in my opinion, people are starting to just sort of get exhausted and tired of it, Angela, did you want to sort of? Oh, I think Angela's channeling.
I'm getting I'm getting a channel,
okay.
and there's the last part of it is very emotional, and
Sorry.
it literally just made me cry. No, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was sort of paying attention. You were asking about the vibration on Earth and whether or not if the populace were to go into you have to remember, vibrational frequency is very much driven by where it is that the populace is. If somebody is a happy-go-lucky person and they're always looking for the greatest and highest good, the vibration is going to raise. If you are in an area where all that you're hearing is doom and gloom and people are looking at war and they're looking at negativity, then the vibration is going to lower. And unfortunately, once we are in those lower vibrations, unless you are somebody who is skilled enough to be able to refocus and get yourself out of that, I hate to say it, but a lot of the lower vibrational energies that come in, and that's what's been infiltrating that is the time that the government has more of a hold on us, because basically people will say, I give up. I have nothing left in me to fight. When Sewell was speaking and he said, the light is all that can conquer the darkness, he's entirely correct. We are the light. We need to be the light. We need to be maintained. And oddly enough, and I know many people that are out there can attest to this, a lot of us that have awakened have gone through hell and back.
Yeah.
And we have gone through it on purpose because we need to understand the darkness in order to be able to understand the light and to be able to relate to those that are going through the darkness still. So we are those pinpoints of hope and of light and of positivity. And that's really and truly what we are supposed to be here on this earth to a lot of people. So, I know that there's a lot of negativity out there, and especially this time of year, it's very difficult for a lot of people. But the more that we continue to raise and refocus and keep our positivity up, the more, and even just doing what we're doing right now, and that was part of the message that I was channeling in, we are raising not just our own vibration and frequency by doing what we're doing right now, and all of the people that are viewing, we are also raising the collective as well as the earth vibration. And that is part of what we are supposed to be doing. That is what all of the light workers are doing. And that is part of what our mission here is. It's to spread the knowledge, spread the information, and stop letting the people who are saying, oh no, this is bullshit, and this is, you're imagining this, and orbs don't exist. And believe me, I am a huge cryptid fan. I believe in Bigfoot. I've seen orbs. I've been through that and then some. And you know what? I'm at the point now where I speak my truth.
Yeah.
And I don't care who it is that likes it or doesn't like it.
Exactly.
That is who I am. That is part of what my mission here is. And that is what I will continue to be, because that is where I am supposed to be at. And it's to help raise the vibration of the earth.
Exactly. I mean, straight up. And I feel that that is so true. And I think that that's what's happening as well, is that a lot of people are starting to say, you know what, I'm tired of being stifled. I'm tired of being told to shut up. I'm tired of not being able to be who my real self is. And people are just saying, blah, they just want to be who they want to be. And I think that all the sorry. Oh well. All the control mechanisms that have been taking place in in society, people are starting to sort of, they're basically saying that we no longer want to play those games. We don't feel that we have to, for example, as a woman, I don't have to look a certain way. I don't have to be of a certain weight. I don't have to be a certain type of person. I want to be who I want to be. And it's just a social thing as well, where people have decided that they're going to live their life and sort of choose what works for them and connect more with the environment and connect more. Like, for example, you'll see a lot of people who are starting to say, you know what? I want to live in a smaller community. I want to live in smaller houses. I want to work with people. And a lot of people are saying they're changing their eating. You see what's happening with a lot of young people. A lot of young people are not smoking. They're not drinking. They are eating much more vegan and vegetarian. Like, there's a change happening on the planet. And I think the planet is changing. And so this is why the powers that be are flipping out, because they know that it's coming from within, not only from within the planet, but also from within themselves as well. And so it's an exciting time, but at the same time, it's also a time where we feel maybe, you're right. Some people do feel like I've given up, I can't anymore, and all that kind of stuff. But I feel that there's still a lot of hope left on the planet. Like, again, maybe I'm just sort of cluing into a certain kind of reality. But I feel that more and more people are looking, to just get back to nature, just get back to living a life that's a lot more wholesome and, eating better and wanting to take care of their health and just wanting to live out in, nature and do more grounding and more meditation. Meditation's never been stronger, and people just want a different type of lifestyle for themselves, and a lot of that was also taking place during COVID, where people had a chance to just finally stop for a minute and say, you know what, I don't feel that this is what I want to be doing 9 to 5. People just finally got stopped and got off the merry-go-round. And so I think that that's kind of interesting. Did anybody want to have by the way, guys, you can call into the show. What's happening? I'm waiting for your calls. Call, and we can answer some of your questions and take your comments. Now, I do have an interesting thing here. Somebody, I have here a message from Kelly. She says, "I agree. Most of the jobs in manufacturing food plant I work for is being automated." And I'm getting more frustrated since I'm the data analyst with all that automation. And so, they can automate things, but you also have a movement where people are wanting to grow their own food. People are starting to sort of have their own chickens and sort of have their own hobby farms and all that kind of stuff. That's growing. That's big. People want to eat more organic. People are trying to eat, eat food that is from the earth and less of a carbon footprint. So you also have to be careful of how the media is also portraying this. The media is trying to portray that, okay, all the jobs are going to be gone and that's what's going to happen. Okay, but what are they supporting? They're not supporting humanity, whereas the average person is supporting more of humanity. I see these videos on YouTube where you have people that are, have videos of just them planting and gardening and doing homesteading and all that. And they get hundreds of thousands of views because people are interested in that sort of thing, So something's happening. It's just that we're not being told because they want to give this false narrative that what we're doing is just, we're going to go towards automation. And, I don't know. I was speaking with my partner and he works in computers and he says that AI, he doesn't find that AI is really, AI is interesting and it's going to be doing a lot of stuff, but overall, I don't think AI, I don't know, Andy, do you feel that AI is going to really sort of take over the world or? No. And it's not really, it's interesting in some ways. And, it's kind of like back in the early 90s, you had a lot of people talking about virtual reality. That was the big buzzword back in those days. And you had a couple of people that were working on it and it was coming around. And, you still have some people doing that today with glasses. Where I live, they had a store which was just all virtual reality. And people were getting very sick. People didn't really like it. That store closed down. And I remember being there and it was across from the food court and I would go there and I would look and you once in a while had people going in and out there, a couple of kids here and there, but overall people were not interested. And it seems, and I also speak with another friend of mine, Chris, who says that the AI, there's a lot of money being put into it by the billionaires and all that because they're trying to drive the interest, but it's really not. It's costing more than it really is worth, and is starting to people are starting to pull out of investment into AI.
Good.
And I don't know if that's really that's where the future is. I know it might, yes, it might take like any other technology. It might take some jobs. Yes, of course. Like when the computer came in, obviously it took a certain amount of jobs. But overall, I think that people have reached their limit. They're saturated with all the technology. And I'm seeing, especially with younger people, Gen Z in particular, yes, they're on their computers, but at the same time, I think they're also getting bored of it and are looking for something a little bit better. I do have an interesting comment here from Nev K 87, and they say, well, she said to do a show. Maybe we can do a show, but I wanted to ask this question. Maybe either Maureen or Angela can answer this question. And it says here, can you discuss what's happening with CERN? Is CERN capable of, and what can be unleashed from it? Now, there's been a lot of talk about CERN because they're doing a lot of high experimentation. And I've heard things about how they've ripped the hole in reality and that a lot of negativity is coming in. Did anybody want to comment on that?
They did.
Yeah? Angela
Yeah.
or Susan? Did anybody want to comment on that? Angela?
I am very much aware of, I don't follow a lot relevant to CERN. However, I am very much aware of the fact that, yes, they have been dabbling far too much. And a lot of what they have brought in is of a malevolent nature.
Yeah.
It is not helpful to our planet whatsoever. However, you have to also remember a lot of the things that the government is doing has been based on the technology that they've received from extraterrestrials that was gained in a rather
Nefarious.
not so nice way. Yes, it was definitely in a nefarious way. And they purposely brought it in. And then these poor extraterrestrials that, were not rewarded for certain things. It was so that Earth could gain and use the technology for very nefarious purposes so that they would have control over the populace.
Exactly.
And by bringing in these things, a lot of times the government is not aware of what it is that they're actually dealing with. And now I do know this because of some of the channels that I've seen and some of the remote viewing that I've done. I mean, they have facilities where they have these things, and I'm going to label them as things that are cordoned off, and they are actually kept under very high security levels because God forbid that they were ever unleashed on the earth. Government doesn't know what it is that they've brought in and what they're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. And, Susan, I'm going to let you also answer that question, but it reminds me a little bit of Stranger Things. Because in Stranger Things, they're doing all this experimentation. They're going into the upside down world, and they have these weird flappy kind of like, triffids type of like planty animal things that are going around and killing people. And they don't know how to stop it. And they have it cordoned off. But it's funny how Stranger Things sort of like, it's not CERN per se, but it's very similar. You know what I mean? Yeah, Susan.
And I have to agree with Angela totally.
Yeah.
And I think CERN, I think, is an example like this push towards super AI or robotics or CRISPR technology. It's almost as though if the technology is there, we must go after it. It's like there's among the people who are, the powers that be that are basically behind them. It's like, if it's there, we must develop it. No matter, and without any consideration of the ultimate cost, which would say with super AI could conceivably, or even CERN or CRISPR, whatever, or robotics, just a few examples could eliminate the human population, but it doesn't matter. If it's there, they must go after it. So it's a strange way of looking at the world, but it seems to be, the prevalent way that the powers that be regard these technologies.
Okay. And Susan, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's very simple. Everybody's talking about CERN like it's a newfangled thing. No, it's been going on for decades.
Yes.
if not the years. Los Alamos National Lab has a linear accelerator center where they're supposed to be modifying transuranic elements into more stable radioisotopes. They use that to generate what they call a standing portal, which is a naturally occurring portal, but they activate it to let the negative ET scourge come in. Then the Brookhaven National Lab did. CERN is the same thing, but that's a major center because they're trying to. It just came to me. They're trying to directly couple the portal system that they created to allow the negative ET tall whites and all of them to come in. They're trying to directly link it to the main Orion Stargate portal that's feeding into this Earth. That's what they're trying to do.
Okay.
And they're letting the scourge, and the scourge goes back and forth at will. It's like walking through a door frame, and you can walk anywhere else in the universe. We have the same technology, my people, but they do it. They go back and forth. As far as the human race, they're not going to be eliminated. The human race is going to have to learn their identity. They're going to have to learn self-preservation, and they're going to have to work alongside us to help us defend them. They have to help us help them.
Okay, wow. That's pretty interesting. And I'm kind of hoping that with 3i Atlas that it'll trigger something. It'll trigger us to come online and to realize that we have, it makes us, I think that with 3i Atlas, it's making us more self-aware because it's something that is really affecting the planet as a whole. And so I think that people are sort of being pulled out of their usual sort of like their own bubble and are being made aware that they have to be a part of the solution. You know what I mean? And that they have to be part of this and work towards helping this planet move forward and to regain its to regain its identity, like you said, and also its health as well. So you know what, guys, I mean, what I was expecting all these calls. I thought people were going to be like, calling in and everything like that. And I'm just sort of like, what's happening? But I think that we're going to sort of maybe continue for another, 15, maybe 10, 15, maybe to like about 9:15. And then we'll see where we're at. And then maybe if we have, we'll close the show. But we're still here. And
I can tell you one thing.
Sure.
I know that between me and Angela, I know that I must have been the main one that called it in.
Okay.
I know that 3i Atlas, it is an interstellar object. It positions itself in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And I suspect it's a standard protocol throughout the rest of the galaxies in this universe that they have interstellar objects stationed at the center of each galaxy, and they monitor the different regions around that galaxy. And when the conditions get really bad or the critical phase of a given mission, like the pulsing, they will come in and they will monitor everything, and they will do telemetry on who's ever attacking it or doesn't attack it, and they get the technical specifications of the type of weapons they're using and stuff. That'll tell you the type of intelligence that race has, because it's called technological extrapolation, a determination of the type of intelligence a given planetary race has. And then from there, they will determine their possible spiritual awareness and everything. And then they'll be able to go in, and the activation codes have been broadcasted from 3i Atlas to the Earth and to certain people on the Earth, and activating the DNA codes directly. Why? Because they're using silicon waves. They're using light harmonic resonances to target specific DNA sequences, and they can activate them. That's what's happening. And mainstream science, like the one channel, The Phenomenon. The other channel was called Dabu 777. The other channel is Stefan Burns.
Okay.
And Avi Loeb are all saying the same thing. They're talking about the codes being activated, the DNA codes, ancient DNA codes. They're talking about it's affecting the Schumann resonances on the planet. It's affecting the tectonic plates and the geological activity on the Earth. It shot streamers into the sun. And the reason it shot the streamers into the sun is because right now the sun is going through what you call a micronova excursion. It is a yellow dwarf, which means it is a cycloidal, it's a cyclic micronova star. And mainstream scientists found out that supernova are also cyclic in nature. And so what they're doing is they're shooting the 3I Atlas shot beams into the sun to offset its center, so it doesn't, if it does go micronova, it'll send it off in little spurts in different directions instead of a whole micronova beam that's going to go and hit the Earth or anything. That's what it's doing. And mainstream science, ironically enough, is actually supporting what the spiritual movement has been claiming. They're both in agreement, but they don't see each other.
Okay.
And I've noticed that the humans on this planet, it's really weird. The common people, Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC, all of them, they have no idea what about 3I Atlas. They don't mention it or nothing. And it's like, I'll ask common people I know about Area 51, 3I Atlas. They have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like two different races existing on the planet.
Okay, wow. That's really fascinating that people seem to not know the biggest story of the year. I mean, if there's going to be a story that went down, that was the biggest story in 2025, would definitely be 3I Atlas, no? That's kind of
But
strange.
it's the people that are aware and that are of the higher vibration that are talking about it. The ones that are of a higher vibrational frequency and who understand that there is more than meets the eye to this whole place that we happen to live on and the whole view of reality and the matrix, etc. The other ones that are here, they don't have any use for it. And that is one of the reasons that they are unaware of it.
Okay.
And that is why right now, with all of these solar flares, the light codes that are coming in, that is part of the main reason why 3I Atlas is here. Because we have not been, we being the light workers that are here on Earth right now, have not been able to raise the frequency high enough or fast enough. So that is part of the reason that 3I Atlas is here with all of the additional help and the additional frequencies that are helping the Earth with. And that is actually somewhat channeled right by them. They're telling me this
really?
as we're talking.
Okay.
With the channel about the pulse that I'm doing.
Well, they're well aware of all of that. They realize that the negative scourges need to go in order to continue raising the vibrationary frequency.
Okay. Wow. And I have an interesting comment here from Kelly. Kelly, she's asking a question directly to Susan. Susan, did you know that 3I Atlas was headed this way long before July of this year? Like, did you know that it was coming? That's what she wants to know, Kelly.
No, I didn't. But what had happened was at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of like, what was it, like June or July or August? I remember I first started talking to Angela. And I mean, when I first started talking to Angela, I was yelling and screaming on the phone to Multiverse Council. I said, this mission is taking too damn long. I'm getting old. I'm getting wrinkles. I'm getting creases in my neck. I'm going to croak soon. I don't want to die on this planet. I'm supposed to go home. We were supposed to leave in 1994. What the F is going on? And I was yelling at them, and she channeled. She said they hanging their heads in humbleness, that they were very ashamed. They didn't realize it was as bad as it was, and they revere me and they respect me for my the reputation I have for helping the other planets and races and everything throughout the universe and the work I've done. And they were listening to me, and they didn't realize it was as bad as it was because the other local universe councils or galactic councils were lying to them. Or they were withholding information on how bad it really is. And right after that, I said, what are you going to do about it? This needs to be done now. And that's why I think that between me and her, I called it in.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I see. That's very interesting that you would be calling that in because it looks like it's sort of correlating with what's happening on the planet and that we have to, a big change has to happen and a big shift has to happen, and 3I Atlas maybe is a part of that shift and is a part of what has to be called in, and or is at its right place at the right time, that to bring about change on the planet. I have an interesting comment here from DH4451. He says, about a month ago, I contacted 3I Atlas intuitively, and they said that they were here to determine whether humans were ready to join the galactic community. And I respond, there are some, but we have leaders. And Angela, did you want to comment on that?
I'm actually just commenting to him as we speak. So there you
Okay.
go. There's your telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what I am commenting to him is that humanity essentially cannot join the galactic community until we learn to be kinder to each other and to Earth itself.
Mm-hmm.
We need to vastly raise our vibration.
Yeah.
We can honestly, and I know this has happened more than a few times, even the Bigfoot community, and I'm sure, Maureen, that you can attest to this, they have been watching us and how it is that we respond to each other, how it is that we respond to cryptids and with regard to other extraterrestrial contacts. Until we learn to respect and treat them all as loving beings, it doesn't matter what the color is or where they come from, then we are not ready.
Okay.
And that's very sad truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of why 3i Atlas is here, is to
Mm-hmm.
raise our vibrational frequency. Hopefully, and in part of the channel that they have this will be the ending channel that they gave to me.
Mm-hmm.
They are basically stating that, you know, until they have raised our vibrationary frequency sufficiently, their work is not done.
Okay. Wow. But I'm hoping that, you sort of want to cheer for the underdog, and I'm hoping that humanity is that underdog, and that, we can finally find a way to, win at the last inning. We're down and out, and we have only a chance shot, and then as it goes, we turn around and we win the game. I think that
as Susan, you're absolutely correct. As Susan mentioned earlier, it is only a very small percentage of the population that needs to truly be awakened and of love and light. And what some people don't realize, and some viewers may not realize, is that each one of us who are light workers that contain the love and light, as we go around and we are around other people, and as we share our messages, we truly do wake up everybody else that's around us. Maybe not to our degree, but we are the light workers. We are the bridges. We are the people that help each other by our knowledge and by our information. So the more that we do and continue doing what we're doing, the more that we wake up everybody else. And as I wake up you and you wake up somebody else, then it's like a fan. So essentially, look at your hand. Essentially, if I woke up 5 people and those 5 people are waking up each 5 more people, yeah, eventually we have a very great impact on the earth. We might be drops, but all of us as small drops make up the ocean.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And 3i Atlas is hurtling through, and it is causing change and causing us to wake up. And I have here I think that we are pretty much all on the same page. I think that especially people who are part of the show realize that we have to make the change. We have to be that change that we want to see in the world, as that old saying goes. And I'm glad to see that people are awake and aware. But of course, this is the group. Now, does that mean that's for everybody? No. And like I said, there's going to be people who are going to be wanting to stay in 3D and work out whatever it is that they're working out. And that's fine. But I think that there are a lot of people in the world who are joining the band, as it were, and are realizing that we have to make a change. So that change is coming. There's a lot more positive change happening in the world. It's just that the news and all that kind of stuff doesn't report it, but it's actually good stuff. And what they do is they report the negative stuff, and that gives a negative, implication, and that brings on the energy, but that's not really what's happening in the world. I feel that people are really waking up and they're becoming different. I know that in my own life, that as a woman of color, yes, you sometimes see what's happening at the U.S. border and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get too much into the politics, but that's sort of that's just like crazy town. And the majority of people are saying they don't appreciate that. They don't like what they're seeing. But I know that compared to what I was experiencing when I was growing up, And compared to what I experience now, I find that things have definitely changed. People have definitely changed. And you are going to find once in a while idiots here and there that are not going to want to change, but that's their problem. But I find overall there has been much more of an openness and an acceptance that we are all different and yet we are all one, So it for me, that's basically, I can attest to that change in a way that I didn't see when I was much younger. So for me, it's always maintain hope and always hope for the best in the future. So that's sort of how I'm going to end off. Did anybody have any closing arguments? Because we obviously don't have any calls because no one's calling, So maybe next time people are shy, I guess tonight or whatever. But we'll I think we'll end it off here. But it will wait. But I'll ask you for any kind of closing comments. So Angela, we'll start with you. Do you have any closing comments for this evening?
I don't have a closing comment, but I do have a closing channel that I was provided by 3i Atlas. Okay. And as I said, when you called on me earlier, it was rather emotional. So I apologize in advance.
No,
if
not
I
at all.
Emotional during this, because what they are stating is, and this is kudos to all of us, and especially to you, Crystal, for your beautiful, wonderful work that you always do when we have these get-togethers. So 3i Atlas occupants are saying, we are overjoyed that you have taken this opportunity to bring us to the attention of your viewers. By doing so, you not only raise the vibration of those currently viewing, but also the vibration of the collective and the entire frequency of Earth. Rest assured, we may not be seen, and they're saying seen in quotes, but we are going to remain to continue our mission here. For it is not until Earth's frequency is stabilized and the populace vibration has raised sufficiently that we will truly be successful. We leave you with only, sorry, this is where it gets a little bit
emotional.
We leave you with only wishes and thoughts of peace and love and the knowledge that you are not alone, nor have you ever been. We leave you with only peace, love, and light, and we thank you for sharing our message.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
And they're actually they're giving the namaste, thank you.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because I can see them.
Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you. And
so
Maureen,
thank you to everyone here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That was so sweet. Maureen, did you want to have any kind of closing statement and how we've experienced it?
We have a lot of work ahead of us. All of us who are, I guess, communicators, and we all have different roles. And that Crystal is, I get the facilitator. I am definitely a researcher and communicator. But we all have our different roles where we can go out in our own little ways, at least spread the word that, there's the world is more wonderful. The world is more mysterious. And but mysterious and weird, and to treasure the weird, because the weird is where it's at. So yes, so if you think the world is normal, you don't know what you're talking about. The world is weird. Revel in it.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And I've been seeing here that people don't have the number. So, no. All right. So
that's very strange, though, because it was posted. I saw it because I'm watching the comments. But yes, the post disappeared.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, relax.
So,
all right. So basically, my moderator is flipping out here, and I'm like, it's okay. We'll do it next time. So don't worry about it, Andy. It's okay. Because we did have the number up, and okay. So if Chris, can you put the number back again? And because it looks like DH4451 has a question, so maybe we can get one more phone call in here before we go for the evening. But Susan, did you have any other comments that you wanted to make in terms of how you see things happening with 3i Atlas?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it came in. I think it was a standby interstellar object positioned at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Like, and I think that that's the standard protocol for multiverse and unity councils for all the different cosmic systems within a given universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it comes in at different critical times when a burgeoning planet is about to reach another level, or when there might be a crisis mode, or when there's a critical stage in a mission that's to be done. And I think it came in because it's supposed to facilitate the pulse. And I also think it came in because the sun was about to go micronova, and it had to offset it. It had to send in its beams. It was shooting beams at the sun to offset it, and also to work with certain key people on the Earth to channel surges of energy into the center of the Earth to offset that, to correct the central planetary energy vortex and all that. He's
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of energy work, and it will fly by. And I don't know who the benevolent beings are exactly on board the ship,
Mm-hmm.
but I know it is a ship, and I know it's being guarded by the benevolent warrior races like us.
Okay.
And it's going to activate and wake up the people. The people have to know their identity, and they have to learn self-preservation and self-worth, and they have to learn the cosmic ontology,
Mm-hmm.
the universal laws governing being and identity and existence, and they have to learn how to defend themselves so that stuff like this never happens again.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you know what? I wanted to ask a different kind of question now. And I wanted to know if you had to build a ship, or maybe I should ask, what kind of ship is, if it is a ship, because of course we're still sort of, working that through, but what kind of ship, or maybe Andrew, you want to answer this, what kind of ship is it? Made out of stone? Is it made out of the rock? You know, anybody want to answer that one?
They're not going to tell us.
Oh,
They are not going to confirm,
okay.
simply because and this is, I don't know who it is there, but they're basically saying they will not confirm because they do not want to give our governments any type of information and advantage over what it is. It's bad enough that the government's already going after them. The governments are much more aware than anybody realizes. They are cloaked in disguise for various reasons, and much of it is to protect themselves.
Okay. That
So
makes
that
sense.
we do not truly
I'm not going to
know.
answer that. And security, I won't answer that question either. Although I know how they manufacture the ships and what kind of material they use, and the types of tandem fields patterns they use for manufacturing ships, but I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Well,
they're basically being very closed-mouthed. And I do need to say one last thing that they said, and this is for all of our viewers: never let your light be dulled.
oh, sweet. Of course. Of course. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't have any idea of what those ships would be made of either, but I'm reminded, excuse me, I'm reminded of that episode in Star Trek, and it was a planet. And people, it looked like it was a planet, but I think it looked like a giant asteroid. And
Yes.
when they went inside, they saw that it was a whole world of people that had been there for generations and generations, and their planet was being destroyed, and so they packed up everybody into this asteroid, and they went into this giant ship, if you will, to their new planet that they found. They found a new home, and that they realized that it was going to take a long time. It was going to be different generations, but that it was going to send them on their way to a better place. But it was made out of rock, and I can't remember the episode exactly, but I think they had some sort of propulsion system, but that it was leading them towards a new home. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's sort of something that or even, for example, you hear about how the moon is hollow, and that the moon was brought here, and that the moon was brought here by different beings to work alongside the Earth, but that there's a time in history when the moon wasn't there. And it seems that there's times in history that has been recorded that the moon was not there and that it was rolled over and brought over, and that there's like, it's hollow and there's people inside. So maybe, I don't know, that would make kind of sense to me, because there's a lot of, pockmarks and holes on the moon, but it's only at a certain level, a certain surface, and there's no real deep crevices. And so people are saying that maybe it's made out of some sort of material that allows them to travel without any worry of the surface being destroyed. Who knows? But anyways, so if you have a question and you want to call into the show, we still have a couple minutes before we finish. So if you want to call into the show, please let us know. I'm waiting for your call, and I'd love to hear your comments and questions. Maureen, did you have any comments that you wanted to make?
Well, getting back to the Chris Bledsoe story, for anybody who saw my presentation on the Marian apparitions, Chris Bledsoe is a man from North Carolina who had a number of anomalous experiences starting in 2007, but and continue to this day, that include UFOs, abductions, shape-shifting entities, shape-shifting UFOs, orbs, beings that come out of orbs, self-healing others, portals, a lady, a Marian apparition who appeared twice with prophecies. I mean, and his ability to call UFOs or call orbs, all of this stuff. And no sooner did he report that back in 2000, I think it was just before 2008, within a year of the starting, the NASA came and basically parked themselves in his house.
Okay.
They were there. CIA was there, the NRO, the NSA, the FBI. I mean, they were all there and continue to take this very seriously to this day. I mean, this is schizophrenic, because at the same time that NASA is basically camping in his living room for 2 decades, they'll get on TV and deny that there's anything to this. Mm-hmm. So clearly, they're taking Chris Bledsoe's story very seriously, because in a lot of cases, they're experiencing it themselves.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's, again, this schizophrenia between what that they are aware of, and then what they're giving to the public, which is total denial. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, just beware. Do your own research. Become aware on your own, because believe me, you're not going to get anything from any public authority figure and get anything that even remotely resembles the truth, if there is such a thing as the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely feel that is what has been happening with I mean, it's same thing with Project Blue Book. They said, no, nothing to see here. These are not the droids you're looking for. Nothing to see here. And yet they were still, exploring. And we saw what happened with Lou Elizondo, about how they're very much interested. And they just basically straight up lie to the public. Like, there's just absolutely no sense of any kind of integrity. It's just about lies. So I think that's also another reason why I think that they realize that they've lied so much, they've backed themselves up into a corner, and nobody's just taking them serious anymore. So I guess that's I guess that's it. I mean, something seems to be that nobody's taking them serious anymore, and they're just not going to bother. So I think that's where people are going to say, you know what, I think we're done, and nothing more to see, nothing more to see here. So I think this is the part where, when 3i Atlas does, come in and interact with humanity, that people will be looking for something more. Now, of course, if, some people are saying, well, how do you know it's not evil? Well, it's not evil because if they were, they would have destroyed us a long time ago. They did,
Exactly.
they would have just vaporized us long time ago. So clearly, and like, again, yes, there are some, malevolent forces out there, but I think the light outshines all of that, and we are definitely on a much better path. So I think that the energy right now is that of hope and that of change. And I think that people are looking at that from a much more positive perspective, So, anyways, well, I think we had a very, very good show. It's unfortunate that we didn't get as many calls as I would have expected, but maybe next time people are going to be a little bit more chatty and a little bit more talkative. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone who took part in our show tonight, and love to hear from you and see what your opinions are of 3i Atlas. And maybe next week we can see where we're at, and then, coming weeks we can talk a little bit more about it and see what kind of changes people are experiencing. But I want to say thank you so much to Angela Levassa for coming out tonight. I want to say thank you to Maureen Morgan for being a part of the show, and a big thank you to Susan Johnson for sharing her experiences and for being here with us tonight. I want to say thank you, all ladies. You are the best. You have brought such a beautiful and varied approach to this whole show, and I'm so glad to have you here. And I want to say also thank you to all our members tonight who showed up and were here and participating. And I love the fact that we have such a beautiful community. Just call me next time. No, but really, thank you so much, everybody. We're closing up a little early, but I think that we've said what we had to say, and I think that we'll be paying attention to what's happening with 3i Atlas. It's definitely something to be seen. And also, just to remind everyone, we are going to be having a discussion later this month on the 26th with Karen Holton. She's going to be discussing her second book, so you might want to hang out for that. And we are also going to be launching our newsletter in January. So also keep that in mind as well. We're going to be sending out, our newsletter to our members, and it's going to be chock full of information and tidbits and promotions for everybody. So I'm really excited. That's going to be our next big project. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. But until then, I wanted to say thank you to everybody for being with us tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content that we're doing. Please like and subscribe. And it really helps the channel. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you for being with us. I'm truly grateful. Thank you so much. And we'll be talking soon. All right? So take care.
Thank you, Crystal.
And happy holidays to everybody.
Yes, happy holidays to everyone.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Angela, can I talk to you afterwards?
Yeah, sure, well, no problem. So happy holidays, everyone. We'll talk soon. And take care and be safe. Bye for now.
Maureen, I want to
Never let your light